When Steele talks, everybody listens.
Instead of seeking to co-locate and deny our neighborhood children adequate space to learn and develop into the productive citizens of East Flatbush. And the question I have for you is, why can't Uncommon expand within the schools they already have in Williamsburg and down on Flatbush Highway?
And let me just first start by saying, we all have to be students of history, because it teaches us where we've been and where we gotta go. So I want you to know I'm very inspired, because that slogan that you have on your shirt, I created in 1986, when we were taking over a crack house on Nostrand Boulevard. And the slogan then was, whose streets, our streets. And then it developed into whose schools? Our schools. Whose schools? Our schools. So let me just be brief, because a lot of folks want to say something, and just a couple of things I want to say. One, don't sleep your power. I think the brother said they're employees of the DOE. Their role is to run the politics of the DOE. It's incorrect to say that they have a responsibility to co-locate a charter school and a public school. What they have the responsibility to do is to pay for the charter's seating or locate it. They can do either one. The second thing is important to know that the charter school can seek students outside of the district where the district school cannot. So on the question of growth, there's no point of talking about what's happening now. The question is, you're talking about what's going to happen. I understand, and the council member understands, that this has been a positive, progressive, and well-supported school. You have to determine what's going to go on here. A number of years ago, when I worked for State Senator Bill Perkins in Manhattan, we celebrated the 10th year of the first charter school in New York, which was the Walter Sisulu School. Understand, the purpose of charters was to simply be an experiment to allow new techniques to be developed that would then be transferred into the public schools. Mayor Bloomberg, in talking to Naya Arunde, the editor of the Amsterdam News, stated years ago that charter schools are actually private schools for the poor. Now when he said that, what he meant to say was, then the question was, well then why aren't they funded privately? Public charter schools are not public schools. Because they have public money does not make them public. As vis-a-vis a sister who came into our office today, whose kid was put out of a charter school because of special needs. And she had no choice. She had no right of due process. So the councilwoman wants it very clear that she supports your decision. And y'all have to fight for your decision. They're members of the charter school, Uncommon schools here tonight. And they should hear you. And they should hear you on the question that nobody's talking about people's intentions. This is not about intentions. This is about understanding that we missed what was happening a number of years ago. The intention was access to the Department of Education's budget. The private entrepreneurs and hedge funds that invest money in public school have no interest in education, but in making money. And so, for those charters that do well, straight ahead. For those that don't, but make it clear too, fact, charters do not, and I'm talking about from New York to California, all the data is there. Charter schools do not outperform public schools. So, a lot of folks have something to say. That's all I want to say. Councilmember Inez Barron is with your decision. It is not a decision of the Board of Education. My brother on the end there, if the panel decides the charter's coming, his gig is to make it happen. Your gig is to make your decision happen. Straight in.
I'm also in the Ivy League program, which helps 7th graders prepare for specialized high school testing so we can get into schools like Brooklyn College Academy, Medgar Evers. I'm pretty sure you guys know. Performing arts is essentially the heart of Meyer Levin. It's called Meyer Levin Performing Arts School. I'm in the drama program, and drama has helped me to slow down my speaking, to learn to project. You can ask my mom. And you guys are saying that charter schools is not going to affect Meyer Levin, but you guys would essentially be taking the 3rd floor, which is where our band are, both steel pan and instrumental band, where our chorus classes, where our drama classes, and where our dance program is. We also have our hearing impaired room up there, and a lot of other things that you guys may not realize is up there. So taking the 3rd floor is essentially taking the heart of Meyer Levin. Don't get me wrong, I definitely love charter schools. My little brother's in one, but the difference here is that they're not taking away another school. They're taking an unused place and they're making it theirs. So essentially what I'm trying to say is, you guys are saying that a charter school is not going to affect Meyer Levin, but what happens when Meyer Levin begins to grow? The charter school begins to grow. Who's going to stay and who's going to have to go?
I have something I want to read, but before I get there, there's a couple of things I need to say. With regards to Uncommon and, servicing the kids in the district, the impact statement gave some statistics for Uncommon. It was promoting them as a junior high school over at Somers, and how, because they're doing such a good job, the students deserve, and the parents deserve, an elementary school to feed into them. And the numbers weren't bad. 50% proficiency in math, around 30% in ELA, and they compared it to the district average. But they leave out all the intangibles that Mr. Ennis was talking about. They leave out the fact that Uncommon is a screen school. They choose the kids to go there. We have a screen school in District 18, a public school. Lennox Academy. It's the only screen school in District 18. Public school. Takes students with special needs. Their proficiency rating for math and ELA was in the 80s. Public school. Couple other things. Mr. Fisher compared our plight with the plight of 308. No offense, Mr. Patterson, 308 is not like Meyer Levin. 308 does not have a thriving performing arts program like we have. They do not have the legacy that we have. They do not have the alumni that we have. It's apples and oranges. Couple other things. Somers Junior High School, where King's Collegiate Charter is. King's Collegiate Charter presently has 320 students there. K588, who they share the building with, is projected to have 199 students next year. The building can house 886 students. I'm pretty sure they could handle some elementary classes in the building. By the way, when we met with the deputy chancellor and had the walkthrough, we asked them about that. They promised to get us the numbers. I had to look it up myself. So, why are we here tonight? Because the data shows we are underutilized. Because the instructional footprint says we have plenty of space for 2 schools. Because that's all the Department of Education seems to care about. Anyone who has experience in education knows that a one-size-fits-all approach will never work. The Chancellor herself has said on several occasions that it doesn't. She said it when talking about the dissolution of the networks. She said it about special education. And she said it about the DOE as a whole. There are too many intangibles involved, Mr. Ennis. I found 5 public comment analysis documents. Those are what they write after they have a joint public hearing. They make notes, and then they answer questions. I found 5 of them where co-location was being challenged using arguments regarding space. In every occasion, the DOE points to the instructional footprint as a justification as to why there is no space issue. I'm going to read you a few things. Here's one of them. The footprint is the guide used to allocate space to all schools based on a number of class sections they program and the grade levels of the school. The number of class sections at each school is determined by a principal based on enrollment, budget, student needs, ... Currently, there are hundreds of schools and buildings across the city that are co-located. Some of these co-locations consist of multiple DOE schools within one building, while others consist of both DOE public charter schools sharing space. In all cases, the citywide instructional footprint is applied to both DOE and public charter schools to ensure equitable allocation of classrooms, resources, and administrative space. That is the response. Here's another one. As mentioned, the instructional footprint is the guide used to allocate space to all schools based on a number of class sections they program and the grade and levels of the school. The DOE believes that co-location provide opportunity for all schools in a shared building to thrive and collaborate. From a space perspective, equity is ensured because co-locations involving charter schools are accompanied by a BUP, which is Building Utilization Plan, that accounts for schools' current and projected enrollments and accordingly allocates space to the schools in compliance with the requirements of the footprint. The DOE believes that co-location provides opportunity for all schools to share in a shared building to thrive and collaborate. From a space perspective, equity is ensured because co-location involving charter schools are accompanied by a BUP that accounts for schools' current and projected enrollments and accordingly allocates space to the school in compliance with the requirements in the citywide instructional footprint. There are currently hundreds of schools and buildings across the city that are co-located, which includes district schools with other district schools with charter schools, and schools with mixed grade levels. I don't know what that means, pretty much all of them have that. In all cases, the citywide instructional footprint is applied to schools to ensure equitable allocation of classroom resources and administrative space. The responses are almost identical. And why is that? Because one size fits all. Because the DOE doesn't care. We had a walkthrough in our building with Deputy Chancellor Rose. During the walkthrough, we showed the Deputy Chancellor every space in the building and how every space is being utilized. And every space is being utilized. We explained why we have a special program and how because of that special program, co-location won't work. Afterwards, we debriefed with the Deputy Chancellor, and she said on at least 3 occasions, well, we feel you have space. How can they say that? I'll tell you how they say it. The instructional footprint. When this is your defense for everything, then there are no intangibles. There's no individuality. There's no empathy. the DOE doesn't seem to care. And one last thing, in our meeting after the walkthrough, somebody from space planning, the same person who told us that he was going to find this information on SOMAs and send it to us, which he never did, he prefaced everything he said by, at this time. At this time, Uncommon is looking for 2 classes per grade, K through 4. At this time, we project that they need 17 regular-sized classrooms, 5 cluster rooms, half rooms. He went through the whole spiel. At this time, said it at least 3 times. At this time means they have plans to grow. They have plans to take this building. So my question is, you're going off of data. The instructional footprint says we have space. So it must be true, because a piece of paper tells you we have space. The data suggests it. I have a quote from the chancellor. It says, data alone should not guide decisions about schools or trump the judgment of longtime educators. There are longtime educators in this building that know for a fact that a co-location will be detrimental to our performing arts program. There are people in this building that know co-location won't work. We have reached out to people in the DOE, and nobody seems to care. Why is the DOE not coming here to find out exactly why this won't work, instead of just shoving the footprint down our throats?
A lot that you can have a lot of young teachers who don't have the experience to come here and actually support children and help them grow. You said it's not going to change in the school. It's impossible for you to add 325 bodies and not affect the access to individual learning that the children and the contact that the children would have with teachers. I went to private school growing up in Manhattan. I went to Hewitt School on 75th between Park and Madison. I had classes where it was just 2 students and a teacher, and you can't tell me that didn't make a difference. I went to Brown University, I went to GW Law School. My career now is an exact result of having those personal contacts with teachers, and it's important. And if you don't see that that's important, then you need a new job.
So I'm going to say no one sitting at this table is an advocate or a agent of we are DOE employees, and our job is not to destroy DOE schools, but our job.
The elected Democratic State Commitment to the 41st Assembly District. My colleague, Corey Provost, is sitting here from the 58th Assembly District. We both represent families who have children who go to this school. I don't know if Corey shares this with me, but I am a proud graduate of this school. My mother was the PA president of the school. Back in the days when the Board of Education actually had to listen to parents. So, you know, I have some sympathy for the 4 of you. I honestly do. I know that the 4 of you are the designated piñatas tonight. I did spend 12 years in the city council, and I went through the Bloomberg era policy regarding charter schools. And I certainly hope that the PEP meetings now are different than they were then, so that PEP members can actually vote their own common sense and conscience, as opposed to being removed if they were going to vote against Bloomberg. And it was kind of my understanding that the de Blasio administration had kind of taken a policy against co-locating charters in public schools, so I'm really kind of surprised we're here. So I'm going to take a different tack than some of the folks before me. I'm going to do a little Q&A with you. I have some very specific questions that hopefully can be answered succinctly. First of all, I want to go back to something you said at the very beginning. They're going to phase in the charter school.
Correct.
And the first year is only going to be the kindergartens.
That's correct.
And are they going to get all of their space that year?
Absolutely not. They will only have space to accommodate their kindergarten section plus the cluster spaces, which is where they would do music programming or art programming per the footprint.
So if I understood the answer correctly, that means that kindergarten students will be sharing common space and the same floor as junior high school students will for at least 1 year.
That is correct.
And
I can be
DOE think that's a really good idea.
Absolutely.
Okay. I don't. Honestly, I think that's abusive to the kindergarten students. So
Across the street!
who designated this school to be a performing arts school? DOE? No?
Well, if this school chooses, they admit students in 3 different ways, and 2 of them are specific programs to admit students into the performing arts program. So if we're speaking admissions, yes, the DOE, but I know that this school has a legacy of being a performing arts school, and that's something that, as we see tonight, and is very evidenced by students and staff and teachers, it's something that this school identifies with. So I would say that this school community is making this a performing arts school.
So the DOE has nothing to do with it. The school decided it was a performing arts school. I mean, I can't believe that's the correct answer because the school operates under the DOE, right? The DOE authorized the school to be a performing arts school, right? I mean, that seems like sometimes we ask questions that we kind of know the answer to, right? So DOE authorized this school to be a performing arts school. How many other intermediate schools in Brooklyn are performing arts schools? Anybody have an answer?
I don't know that off the top of my head how many are performing arts schools. I know that many of our middle schools have performing art programs.
Well, every school should have a performing arts, program, let's be honest.
So totally dedicated as a performing arts school, I cannot answer that question, but I'd like to take a stab at talking about how Meyer Levin became a performing arts school. Born and raised not too far from here and living within the community. My brother attended Meyer Levin. And as such, he came into the school from Brownsville through the magnet program. It was a performing arts program that had a citywide enrollment and admission, and that's how he came into the school, through the magnet grant.
Well, and definitely the magnet program was authorized by DOE. When I went to Tilden, that really was a neighborhood school, that hadn't drifted into, 4 different pieces. They brought in a school of public affairs. Who gifted that to Tilden? The Board of Education. So, I mean, this school can't decide one day, heck, we don't want to do performing arts anymore. We're going to become the School of Sports Management or the Medical Professional School like they have in Canarsie. That doesn't happen. DOE has to authorize that, right? So that to me is kind of obvious. And my understanding is if there are any other performing arts intermediate schools in the city, maybe there are 1 or 2 and there are none in Brooklyn other than this one. That's what I've been given to understand. So why does DOE allow a school to become a performing arts school? I mean, certainly it's not because they don't want reading, writing, and arithmetic and all that other good stuff to fall by the wayside so that you know, kids can learn how to sing and dance and play the steel drums and nothing else, right? There's a reason for that, right? It's a way to reach students that, you know, have that particular interest or vocation. Just like high school for sports management, maybe for kids that are interested in that. And it helps to build their character. We have athletic programs, at least we used to. I'm not sure what the city budget funds athletic programs. But we have those because, not because we want to see our team win, but because it builds character and development in young people. So I assume that same concept applies here, and DOE has agreed that this school should be that conduit, the performing arts school here, so that kids who attend it can grow and flourish. That's not a question, that's, to me, a statement of the obvious. I guess, where do I go with that? All right. When you co-locate school, you're not just going to give them segregated space, right? You're going to share certain things. You're not going to build them another auditorium or another gym or another lunchroom, right?
That is correct.
Okay, the charter school kids, even the kindergartners, are going to say use the gym. Okay, they're entitled, right? It's fair and equitable, right? And that, of course, in this school means that perhaps the steppers or the cheerleaders or one of the other arts programs that may use the gym for their practices are going to have to be accommodated differently, because there's not going to be two, okay? And the charter school is going to want the auditorium their fair share of the time, so that the performing arts kids have a production. They may not have the auditorium, because you can't build them a second one, right?
That is correct.
Okay, that's what I thought. That was just...
There's a little more to it than that, and I think you know that.
Well, yeah,
So,
there is, but...
No, let me just, you're asking Q&A, so this
Okay,
is
all
not
right, fair
answering.
enough.